Alrighty, welcome back, cosmetologists in training, to your intro to your state board exam. This is for the cosmetologist students in a 1,000-hour Texas cosmetology program. You are going to be taking the written examination and a practical examination. This is video 2 of 3 out of your intro to the state board process with Boss Lady Beauty Academy. So let's dive right in. This won't be a very long video. First, we're going to start with our candidate bulletin information page already pulled up. So our CBI, we have that pulled up, and of course, it'll be linked below this video and in your Boss Lady Beauty online course. I want to start by reading through it thoroughly and then going down and breaking the information for the actual written exam down. So the written examination. Starting on page 15 of the CBI, the written examination, the examination content online has been prepared and is periodically updated by committees of professionals who are subject matter experts in practice, instruction, and regulatory issues. The examination content outline identifies areas of importance to licensees for them to perform their duties to the public in a competent and legally responsible manner. Use the outline as a guide of pre-examination review of reference material. I'm going to read that again. Use the outline as a guide for pre-examination review of reference material. The outline lists the topics that are on the examination and the number of questions for each topic. Do not schedule your examination until you're familiar with the topics on the outline. Texas operator. There are 100 scored items, and you are allotted 120 minutes to take this exam. You need 70% correct to pass. There will be 10 non-scored items, which you will get an additional 10 minutes for as well. The 5 sections that your Texas cosmetology written examination will be over are going to be 1. Licensing regulation. It is going to be 20% or 20 questions of your state board exam. It is going to cover health and safety and responsibilities of the licensee. Then you have infection control. So section 2 is infection control. It is 28% of your exam and will have 28 questions. The questions will range from topics over cleaning and disinfecting, your implements, equipment, and work environment, safety procedures such as exposure incident, patch tests and strand tests, skin analysis, the diseases and disorders of them, nail analysis, diseases and disorders, hair analysis, disorders, scalp analysis, diseases and disorders. Section 3 is going to be over hair and scalp care and consists of 40%, which is 40 questions in your written state board examination. You are going to cover physiology, products, cleansing and conditioning treatments, hair cutting, hairstyling, braids and extensions, thermal, up into chemical texture services, chemical theory, relaxers, permanent wave, soft curl reformation, hair coloring, color theory, types of hair coloring and lightener, and application. Moving on to section 4, you have nail care, which will make up 6% of your exam, or 6 questions. Those 6 questions will be over manicuring, pedicuring, nail enhancements. Nail enhancements will include acrylic and gel and tips. And finally, section 5 of your cosmetologist written state board examination is over skin care. It is comprised of 6% of your exam and includes 6 questions. The topics are facials and treatments and massage, hair removal, the contraindications and methods of hair removal, and artificial lashes. The examination is closed book. Remember that prohibited list of behaviors Reference material is not allowed. This is a closed book examination. The reference materials listed below are used to prepare the questions for this examination. So you can work from Milady Standard Cosmetology, 13th edition, which is the edition we teach from at Boss Lady Beauty Academy. The Milady Standard Cosmetology, 14th edition, which will take effect September 1st, 2023. Milady Standard Foundations, 1st edition, which will take effect September 1st, 2023. You then have Pivot Point Fundamentals, Cosmetology, 2016 edition. And then you have the Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 83, which can be found on the TDLR website and is mailed to you in that handbook that you received. And finally, Texas Occupational Code, Title 9, Chapter 1602 and 1603, also found in the TDLR website. To finish out the page, the non-scored items. Your examination contains non-scored items. Those are those 10 non-scored items that you get 10 minutes for. The use of such questions is an essential step in developing an accurate future examination. These questions will not be scored, and time to answer them has been added to the allotted time. So that is it. That is your written state board exam. On my right of the screen and on your right of the screen, you should see the TDLR website. Let me just make that a little bigger. So to get the reference materials, I'm going to kind of work my way back up. Like I said, this is the reference material that we are working from. That is what's in your course, and that is what the Boss Lady Academy uses, but your academy may use any of these books to adequately prepare you. These two here are linked below directly to the PDF for both these chapters and titles, and they are in your Boss Lady Beauty Online course. Just to show you how I got to them, just in case you don't reference back to this video, I went to License Types, Cosmetologist, because that's where we live, that's where everything we need is, Laws and Administrative Rules, and they are all here. Note, it's saying Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 83, Texas, that's Texas Operations Code, and this is Texas Admin Code. This is Chapter 3, and there it is. So I pulled it up. We have all three ready to go. You have the 1602 and 1603 of the Texas Occupations Code and the Chapter 83 of the Texas Administrative Code. So 20 questions are going to come from those three PDFs. That PDF was also sent to you as one book directly from TDLR. If you haven't gotten it at this point in your program, please see an admin or directly contact your state and order a new one. In order to pass this exam, you need 70% correct. That's an important number to remember. You don't need to make an A. No one's ever going to ask you what you scored on your state board. You only need a 70%. So you need to get 70 of these 100 questions correct. These questions are coming from each of these 5 categories that we mentioned. And what I have done to help you is went ahead and listed out the chapters that each of these categories have information in. So we'll run through that and then we'll end this video. After this video, of course, we'll do the practical version, just breaking down the practical exam, what it covers, so on and so forth. And then after that, you will start getting individual videos posted here on our channel and in your Boss Lady Beauty Online that we actually go into each one of the chapters, study the information on a call so that you can know where to go, read those chapters, prepare, and not sweat taking this exam. So if you don't already have it, go ahead and take out a pen and paper. I will give you a few minutes to do so, and be prepared to write this information down. Okay, so if you have not already, please go ahead and take a screenshot of the CBI. Of course, it's linked below, so if you don't want to, you don't have to. But these are the 5 sections: license and regulation, infection control, hair and scalp care, nail care, and skincare. So we have already taken the liberty of writing down where that information is going to come from, and now I'll share it with you. So for section 1 of your written exam, licensing and regulation, 20 questions are going to come from your TDLR rules book. That is the PDFs that have been linked under this video and the book that has been mailed to you directly from TDLR. Section 2, infection control, is going to consist of 28 questions. And those questions are going to come from the following chapters: Chapter 5, Chapter 8, Chapter 10, and Chapter 11. Mind you, these chapters are the chapters in the 13th edition of the cosmetology textbook. So it looks like this. Okay, and here are the chapters according to the 13th edition. So the chapter names might be a little different, but essentially, if you are using a book, the way you would work this out is, for example, section 2 over infection control with 28 questions is over cleaning and disinfecting your implements, equipment, work surface, safety procedures, exposure incidents, patch tests, trend tests. That is coming from chapter 5, infection control. So I was able to write chapter 5, infection control principles and practices. If your edition has a different name for the chapter, that's absolutely fine. I actually don't like that, so I'm not going to put it in, but it's really up to you. So again, chapter 5 for section 2, chapter 8, which is skin disorders and diseases. Remember, in the CBI, it says chapter 5 is section 2 is coming from infection control. So chapter 5, safety procedures, chapter 5, and then it's talking about skin analysis under diseases and disorders. So that is chapter 8, skin diseases and disorders. Same for nail analysis, which is going to be chapter 10, nail disorders and diseases. Same thing for chapter 11, properties of the hair and scalp. So, excuse me. Section 2, 28 questions from chapter 5, 8, 10, and 11. A great way to help yourself is to do the vocabulary and get really, really comfortable with the vocabulary as soon as possible from every chapter listed. It's a pro tip. If you want to study smarter, study the vocabulary. It's a great way to capture the core information before you actually worry about answering questions and things like that. So then you have section 3, hair and scalp. It's 40 questions, and this is a big one. There are a lot of chapters that 40 questions is going to come from. So there's a lot of reading, a lot of studying. Starting with vocabulary is going to be your very best friend. So chapter 6, general anatomy and physiology. Chapter 16, hair cutting. Chapter 17, hair styling. Chapter 18, braiding and braid extensions. Chapter 19, wigs and hair additions. Chapter 20, chemical texture services. And chapter 21, hair coloring. Lots of information going into that, but look, 40 questions. Now let's just imagine for a second you got all 40 of those right. You only need 30 more questions to get that 70. Of course, we want to do better than a 70, but let's think realistically here. If you have 40 questions knocked out of the park for this section, you really only need to do really well or mediocre in 2 or 3 other sections. So don't be too intimidated by this exam. There's a lot of approaches that you can take. My priority would be vocabulary for every chapter listed. And then once I'm comfortable with the vocabulary, I would work questions from each chapter for each section, making sure that I can completely be competent in a section before moving on to another one. So section 4, you have nail care. It is only 6 questions. Now, I'm saying only because I am going to spend less of my mental energy when it comes to studying on studying the chapters listed for nail care than I am for infection control. Why? Nail care is 6 questions. I'd rather get those 6 wrong to guarantee the 28 right. And that's just a strategic approach. Remember, this part of the course is not about learning the material to be a great cosmetologist. This part of the course is about getting that license. So when you approach this, approach it strategically. Nail care is coming from 5 chapters. Chapter 25, manicuring. Chapter 26, pedicuring. Chapter 27, nail tips and wraps. Chapter 28, monomer liquid and polymer powder nail enhancements. And chapter 29, light cure gels. So again, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chapters for 6 questions. If you have to cut it, cut it. You've gone through the chapter in your course, so you should be familiar with the basic information from this chapter and the next section, from these chapters and the next segment of chapters. So when focusing, I would hit section 3 would be my priority, and then section 2 and 1, because that's where the bulk of your information is going to come. And what I'm actually going to do is delete that information because it's kind of wonky, because that's all a part of section 2. All right, now to section 5. We have skincare, which again is only another 6 questions to make up that 100 questions. And that's coming from chapter 22 and 23. That is hair removal and facials. So that's your state board written exam if you are a Texas cosmetology student. It is 100 questions. You have 120 minutes to finish it. You need 70% to pass and move on to your written. So we are going to strategically focus in this order. We're going to start by doing all of the chapters and acing those final exams. For every chapter listed, you need that to graduate. Second, we are going to get really, really comfortable with the vocabulary from every chapter specifically listed in each of these 5 sections. I would create Quizlets or some type of study guide for each one of these vocabulary words only. And every day I would check off one of them between now and the time you graduate from this program so that you don't have to cram at the end. So every day after I've taken all my final exams for every chapter and I'm through the coursework, I would start with the words from the TDLR rules book. There's 3 of them, so 1 a day. It's only 20 questions, so really you can do all of the vocabulary words from the TDLR rules book in 1. The next day, I would do chapter 5, 8, 10, 11, 6, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 23, 22, and then boom, maybe give myself 2 or 3 days rest, depending on how early you are starting, and go right back to the top and work my way through those vocabulary words. Once you are a month to 2 months out from graduating and taking the actual written exam, then I would strategically focus on the chapters with the biggest percentages first. So I would be really, really competent in section 3, really, really competent in all of these chapters. And then I would move down to the section 2 over infection control. That's 28 questions. Then TDLR rule book, licensing and regulation, and then nail care, skin care. So I hope that makes sense for everyone. If you think of any additional questions, please feel free to email me in ClassReach if you're a current student, if you're a graduate, or if you are at another academy. Remember, you can always reference your academy or send us an email at headmistress@BossLadyBeautyAcademy.com. Just title it YouTube State Board written, and I'm more than happy to assist you on an as-needs basis. So remember, this is video 2 of 3 in the introduction to PSI. You have 1 more coming, and then after that, we will start breaking down these chapters and these sections so that you can be confident and comfortable taking this State Board written exam. So just as a final review, there are 5 sections in the written exam. There are a total of 100 questions, and you get 120 minutes to ace this exam. The chapters for each sections are listed on your screen right now. Take a screenshot, write them down, pull out your textbook if you're using a different edition, and then identify what chapters this information is coming from. So what chapters the information that I'm highlighting is actually coming from, write it down and study, study, study. And then from there, if you are not ready to take this exam at about 30 days out, I would recommend using some type of resource like the Milady quiz booklet or a Quizlet, anything that you can. Work with your other classmates, work with your academy, and go out there and kill this test. It's going to be great. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in introductory video number 3 over the written, and I can't wait to study more.